this is the October 19th, 2021 meeting of the Landmark Preservation Commission, and I will call this meeting to order. Let's start with introductions of the commissioners. I'll go ahead and get started. My name is Kelly Wemple. I'm an architect nominated by the American Institute of Architects. Next, we have George.
Hi, George Dennis. I live in a landmark home that we researched and rebuilt and still are doing. I was nominated by History Colorado.
Great. Brad.
Hi, my name is Brad Gassman. I'm an architect and I was nominated by History Colorado.
Aaron.
Hi, I'm Erin Hummel. I'm a landscape architect and I was nominated by the American Society of Landscape Architects.
Thanks. And no Graham this week, right? So Julie.
Hi, I'm Julie Johnson. I'm a historic preservation project manager and I was nominated by the community at large.
Gary.
Hello, I'm Gary Petrie. I'm an architect and I was nominated by the Denver Planning Board.
Erica.
Hi, I'm Erica Warzel. I'm an architectural historian and preservation consultant, and I was nominated by the community at large.
Great. And Anne.
Hi, I'm Anne Wattenberg. I'm an architect nominated by the American Institute of Architects.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. And Jesse, you're assisting with the meeting since Jen is out this week. Is that right?
So it'll be myself, Emily, and Evan are all working to guide the meeting through. I will be changing the slides and giving over control of the slides to staff members.
Great. So anyone attending, if you see Jesse and Brittany and Evan, they're our great Landmark staff who's on the call facilitating the meeting, which is great. All right, so next up, we do have a couple meeting records on our agenda. I'm just pulling those up here. Did any commissioners have any questions or comments about the meeting records for September 21st or October 5th? No comments?
Kelly, I wasn't at the September 21st meeting, so I'd have to abstain from that. So if we split them apart, I can vote on the October 5th.
Gotcha. I also wasn't present for the September 21st. Was everybody else here present? Okay, then we could probably make it one vote and still pass the motion.
Yep. Okay.
So, okay. Who's going to make the motion?
Madam Chair.
Anne, did you have a question first?
Yes, because I wasn't here for the, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you, but I wasn't here for the October 5th one. So if I don't vote for that, does that mean, do we cancel each other out?
Good point, Anne. Maybe we should make this two motions then, one for the September 21st and one for the October 5th.
It doesn't have to have a quorum of 5. It only needs a overwhelming majority. So I don't know if that changes.
So 3 out of what we've got 8 today.
We have 8 today, so it's still being
so okay. Well, thank you for clarifying that, Brittany. Then let's go ahead and make it one motion. Gary, you want to go forward again?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the draft meeting records for September 21st, 2021 and October 5th, 2021.
Great. Thank you, Gary. Do we have a second?
Madam Chair, I'll second that.
Thanks, Julie. All right, then I will call for the vote. George.
Hi.
Brad.
Abstain.
Aaron.
Aye.
Julie.
Aye.
Gary.
Aye.
Erica.
Aye.
Anne.
Abstain.
And Kelly. Abstain. All right, so the motion passes, but there were 3 abstentions, Brad, Anne, and Kelly. Okay. Great. So the next item on our agenda, at the beginning of every landmark meeting, we like to reserve some time for public comments. This is not for any project that we will be seeing under design review, but just general comments about preservation. So I will just give you the one caveat that there are 2 items on consent. And if those move forward, we will not have, if the consent agenda is passed by the commission, we won't have any public comments periods for that. So if you have a comment about anything on consent, you'll want to make that at this time as well. So up on the screen is the instructions for commenting. If you're joining by phone, please hit *9. That allows us to see that you raised your hand so we can unmute you. Or you can email landmark@denvergov.org. If you're joining via computer, please use the hand raise function. And is anyone at the web building today in person?
We do not have anyone at the web.
So then
We've
that does
gone
not
all
apply.
virtual, Kelly.
All virtual.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. We do have one hand raised, Kelly, David Vaughn. So
Great.
I will allow him to talk. And then David, if you can unmute yourself. You'll
Yeah,
have 2
and
minutes to speak.
yeah, you'll have 2 minutes. Please start with your name and address for the record. We haven't heard you yet, so I think you need to hit unmute.
And he,
I pushed him to panelists to see if that would
okay.
help.
Great.
David, can you try speaking?
We're not hearing you. We can see you.
His hand raised did go down, so maybe he did that by mistake.
This is an issue that can happen with Zoom sometime. So it maybe if he leaves and then rejoins the meeting, we can take his comment then. Sometimes the voice won't unmute for some reason on Zoom.
Okay, well, David, if you could go ahead and try that, try leaving the meeting and then rejoining. We'll try to get your comment then. Still seeing him on the line. Okay. So we'll give him a minute. I'm hesitant to, oh, is he back on? David, if you could unmute yourself. We're still not hearing you.
Perhaps David could try calling in if he has a phone.
Jesse or Evan, do you have the capability? Oh.
I asked him to unmute previously, but I can't ask him to unmute now for some reason.
David, are you there?
Hi, we can hear you now.
Okay.
Oh, you can? Oh my gosh, that was crazy. I must have hit about 35 buttons. Sorry. This is Dave Vaughn. I'm with Golden Spike Roofing. And I haven't done a landmark building in a while. I just had a question about how you guys are going about issuing a permit if we're not making any changes to the facility. Can you hear me? Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, no, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay.
You just have up
Sorry.
to 2 minutes and I didn't know you were done. Are you done?
No, did you hear what I asked?
The question? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just was wondering about the process for getting a landmark permit approved if we're not making any changes to the building.
Yeah, so David, this is our commission meeting. We don't typically do a Q&A with the public. This is just a time for public comments. So you can reach out to landmark@denvergov.org with any questions.
Okay.
about
did-
obtaining a permit.
How long does that usually take for them to get back to you? Because we haven't.
We
heard
have
back.
a person that's on call every single day, David. So if you just reach out to that email address, they should be in touch with you within 24 hours or less.
Okay. I guess technically it hasn't been
Alright.
24 hours. We emailed them yesterday at 11. Okay. All right. Thank you much. Sorry to bug
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Yep,
All
okay.
right, are there any public comments on general preservation matters? Okay. Don't see any other hand raises, so we'll go ahead and move forward. Okay, so we have 2 items on the consent agenda. Do commissioners have any questions for staff or anything that you'd like pulled off of consent? Erica?
I did have a question about application 2021 COA-455 at 2151 East Hawthorn. I believe the staff report mentioned Ludowici clay shingle and standing seam for the roof, but I wasn't seeing that in the application, and it looks like by section there were slate tiles being referenced that I think would be matching the existing roof. So I just wanted to clarify what the roof material is.
So this is Abby's application, and she is not with us today. So I am covering that. I cannot answer definitively. I believe the copper roofing is at the rear, but I would recommend if you have questions on this to pull it off of consent and have the applicant answer those questions.
Okay, thank you. I think I'd like to move it off then into design review so we can get the details of that for sure.
All right, so let's pull that one off the consent agenda. I actually had a question about the other item on consent, the tax credit application for 2421 Stout Street. So Becca, I was wondering, so it looked like in the staff report, I didn't see anything about removal of walls, but in the application, there was reference to opening up some areas between the kitchen and the dining room, and also mentioned adding a second restroom and a laundry room. And it just wasn't, there weren't a lot of plans here, so I was unclear as to what that scope was. If that is part of the tax credit, their application they're requesting approval for.
Yeah, so those are interior remodels that they're doing, and they're not qualifying credits. They are part of the larger project. And Landmark staff thought that because they were happening to areas that weren't sort of the primary entrances and the sort of grander scale areas of the house, that those were appropriate.
Okay.
Still met the Secretary of Interior standards, but weren't qualifying for the tax credit.
Okay, that was what I was wondering, is if you felt that it met the Secretary of Interior standards. I know we don't typically review interiors, but with tax credit applications, that would be a consideration. Okay, that answers my question. Thanks. Any other questions? All right, then it sounds like we've pulled off the second item off of consent. Does someone want to make a motion about approving the first item, 2421 Stout?
I can make the motion.
Okay, thanks.
I move to approve consent agenda item 2021-TAXC-008 at 2421 Stout Street.
Great, thank you, Brad. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Whoop, who caught that one first? Aaron?
That was Aaron.
Okay, thanks. All right, thank you, Aaron. Then I will call for the vote. George?
Aye.
Thanks, Brad.
Aye.
Aaron,
Aye.
Julie,
Aye.
Gary,
Aye.
Erica,
Aye.
Anne,
Aye.
Kelly, aye. All right, so we have a unanimous vote and the motion passes. So if anyone is on the line for project 2021-TAXC-008, then your project has been approved and you can feel free to hop off the call. Okay, so up on the screen is the design review process. I'll go ahead and announce the project, and then staff will go ahead and introduce it and provide their recommendation. After they're done, the applicant has up to 10 minutes to present. Use as much or as little of that time as you'd like. Then we'll open it up for public comments. And once our public comment period is done, the commission will deliberate and vote. So we're going to start with the project that was pulled off of consent today. So that's 2021-COA-455 at 2151 East Hawthorn Place.
So our first project is at 2151 East Hawthorn Place in the Country Club Historic District. It is a contributing structure built in 1932, and the period of significance is 1902 to 1945. The applicant is requesting approval for a attached garage, which will add 917 square feet at the rear of the property. The attached garage will be attached to the existing garage that will be converted into a mudroom via a breezeway that has a footprint of 7 feet by 8 and 9 inches, which you can see in this existing site plan and proposed site plan. The applicant is also going to add 2 new dormers on the east side of the roof, and then a new chimney will also be added to the rear of the structure. Windows will also be relocated on the historic structure. So on the west elevation, a door will be relocated into an infill opening. On the east, a window will be converted into a door, and 2 new windows will be added, and a window will be enlarged. On the north, a window well will be removed, and a new chimney will be constructed. And then on the south, a new door will also be constructed. So I don't have too many slides for this project, and Jesse, it's not actually letting me move the slides. There it goes. So here you can see those 2 new dormers that will be added to the east roof slope. They are not visible from the public right of way. They will be clad in lap siding to match the existing lap siding with a 6-inch exposure. Here you can see the new garage that is proposed and that connector breezeway. This garage will involve demolition of some portion of the existing driveway, and again, the existing garage will be converted into a mudroom. In the application materials, the roofing material is noted as flat slab shingles on most of the exterior key elevation notes. However, on page A401, there is a slate tile notation for the roofing material. And I actually don't see in the plan set where the copper roofing is noted, but that is noted in the staff report as a material. And then I just have one more slide showing the front of the home. So here you can see that new garage addition that will be added to the home. This is set back significantly from the street, but it is a new addition of a garage with small living space above. All new steel and aluminum clad windows will be installed, and those will all have wood headers, new wood garage doors, and new light fixtures will be installed on each side of the garage. We are recommending approval of this project.
Thank you, Brittany. All right, are there any questions for staff, or should we hear from the applicant so that we can ask them directly? Okay, great. Is the applicant present?
I am.
Great. If you could start with your name and address for the record, you have up to 10 minutes.
Great, thank you. This is John Mattingly. I'm at 517 East Bayot Avenue, Denver, 80209. I can't remember. Anyway, thanks, Brittany, for stepping in. We've done a final submittal to Abigail, and it looks like maybe it didn't get through. That addressed that slate tile typo. It is a Ludovici roof that's on this building. The original roof, I think, was replaced recently with the same Ludovici tile. And so we used that invoice that they had used to replace the roof to get the match on the new attached garage. And then one of our adjustments the reason you're not seeing that standing seam is we had to adjust that on our last submittal before Abigail went out of town. And so it looks like those drawings just didn't match up with the comments. And so that shed roof on the back of the garage, which would be on the north side, is a lower pitch, and that's where that copper standing seam would be. So other than that, it's we had an initial submittal to Landmarks that had a much larger volume between the attached garage and the original structure. There was a whole breezeway second story area there that kind of smothered that area. And with Landmarks comments, we studied it a little harder and came up with this much more simplified version so that the attached garage really reads more like a detached. And architecturally, I went with very simple detailing so that it didn't match the original structure, but kept the gable pitch the same. We used the same scale of windows. And in fact, we're doing a new steel window here that they're actually single pane glass, believe it or not. And so, but the idea was that we see a similarity in form, but a simplicity in detail. And so that was the idea behind that attachment. It does sit deep on the property. So, and then the roof, of course, would be a match to what's there. So that, I think that pretty much sums it up. The window adjustments that we've made are on the rear of the house and on the back far end where the maid's quarters were that really can't be seen. And so very little impact from the street. So that's the project in a nutshell. Hopefully that addresses the roof question that brought it off of consent. And I think that's all I have to offer.
Thank you very much. Are there any additional questions for the applicant, Erica?
Yeah, so I just wanted to make sure I'm hearing you correctly. So on sheet G002, the reference to slate on the roof and the few photos we see of the existing roof material, those are no longer current. Is that correct?
The comment of it being slate's not accurate. That's the problem.
So
You went on mute, Erica. Sorry.
I see Brittany raising her hand, so maybe I'll let her address.
So I'm looking in the file folder and I see an application packet that does reference all these corrections that the applicant, John, just mentioned. Unfortunately, that's not the packet that got uploaded for LPC review. So I do see all these corrections noted, such as the copper roofing and the slate, or sorry, not the slate, the clay tiles noted, but again, that's not the packet that was uploaded to the website, unfortunately.
Okay. So, yeah, Evan.
All right, this isn't my project, but maybe I just wanted to jump in to clarify that it is a Ludovici tile meant to imitate the look of slate, correct?
Well, it's like that Ludovici tile, it looks more like a clay, in my opinion, than it does slate.
It's a clay tile.
A clay tile.
Okay. So, I guess my question for staff is it appropriate for us to make a motion on a project where we don't have the current drawings? I mean, we could make a conditional motion that the drawings be corrected, and you already have those drawings. So in theory, you could move forward with that. Does that seem appropriate?
It's really up to the commission if you feel comfortable approving that. I don't have, sorry, go ahead, Adam.
Oh, sorry.
Adam Hernandez, Assistant City Attorney. You all don't have this packet. I think the best thing to do maybe is to continue this item to the next meeting. You all could get the packet in the meantime, and then you're sure that you're making the proper vote based on the correct application.
Okay. So yeah, that seems wise. Really, it would just, since you don't actually need to receive any updated materials, you can get this on the next agenda under consent, right? There's enough time to do that. Okay.
Yeah, so November 2nd would be the next available agenda.
Okay. And since we've already discussed it, it seems appropriate to put that on consent, and then we just have the correct application to vote on. Okay. So, but if we continue something, Adam, does that require us to see it under design review, or is it okay to continue it and have it come back under consent?
I think it's fine to continue it under consent, because consent is design review. It's just, it's not brought to the commission because it's meeting all the guidelines according to staff.
Yeah. Okay, great. Anne, did you have a question? You're on mute.
Sorry, I have a question for the applicant, because there was something else in this, and maybe again, this was corrected down the line. It was corrected in the next one. But when I look at the photographs, which I believe are on G06, I don't know if it's possible to pull them up. It looks as if the roof, the existing roof, is a continuous slope. And I downloaded this. And but on the actual roof plan, there's a line, so it looks like it's just a continuous slope of tile. And I don't know, is it possible to get that slide up?
There was a roof plan that I saw that shows if you're talking about the shed detail on the north end of the building.
Well, let me just finish my question. So when I look at the existing photograph and the existing roof plan, they don't match, because there's a line that's shown through that as if there was a change in something, but there isn't. If you look at the photograph, I mean, maybe I'm misunderstanding this.
I don't know, maybe reference the existing garage. If you look at the sheet that I'm seeing right now is the two different elevations, the existing and the proposed, which would be the east or the south elevation. The garage itself has a sloping pitch on it. The existing garage, that pitch slopes up, if that's what you're talking about. It's not a continuous pitch. But I'm not really sure what part of the building you're referencing without.
Can we pull up sheet 006?
Staff doesn't always have every sheet from the applicant presentation.
We saw it previously.
Oh, okay.
So here we go.
This,
what are you referencing here?
It's the existing, because again, maybe this is a confusion in that was something that was corrected. But as long as we're going to see this again, I would like to, and I was happy that Erica pulled this off, because I was thinking about the same thing.
What are you referencing though? I'm not sure what you're.
So, Anne, are you speaking about, the northernmost dormer that we see on this roof plan on the east side, not on the garage, but on the house?
No,
I know you're not talking about the dormer, but then the line that we see there, or no?
I don't know. I don't know how to say this, but when you look at the photographs on 006, which was part of the application package, I'm sorry, I can only go by that. The existing roof looks to be a continuous slope.
I think I see what you're saying, Anne. So the existing garage that's, kind of now almost looks like a connector, but not. In this plan, there's a line shown where it meets the rest of the house of the roof. And so that implies that it's a different slope. Now, I think I heard, John, that you had said it is a different slope. It just meets the roof. And I think in the photos, Anne, it looks like you do see how the eave of the rest of the roof, I don't know how to explain it, it is a little separated from the garage roof. So I wonder if maybe that's helps show where the slopes start to differ. So maybe on the roof plan, it looks a little more drastic to have a line there. Whereas in real life.
That's really just a modeling thing in Revit. There is a change in pitch because the roof at the garage does have a break and a slope in it, a mild slope. I think the line that we're reading there is just it's a Revit graphical error, but it's an existing roof condition that we just modeled and we're not changing it.
Does that answer your question, Ann?
If you go back to the rendering, can we do that? You see how there's opposite the garage, and maybe this was the question that Erica asked. There on the existing roof, there appears to be sort of an indentation.
That's a modeling error in Revit is all that
Okay.
is. That's the existing building and we're not going to touch that. It was just, it's better seen in the two-dimensional drawing. You can actually see the slope of it, but somehow that change with that, if you look at the top, you can see a mild slope on that garage that's poking out on the south, the west end of the garage.
Mm-hmm.
You're just seeing a graphical issue with Revit in the model in that rendering.
Okay.
That's the existing roof form that we're not touching that or changing it.
And you're not changing the material on that portion of
That was the big change up from the initial proposed design. Is I had a structure at one point that went all the way across there and overwhelmed that, and it's no longer there. And so we're leaving that exact, that roof form as it is. Staff felt pretty strongly about preserving the whole, it's an interesting project because the house itself sits so far on the lot, but it is, you can see the whole house, so it was recommended that we leave that area alone and not touch it. So that's what we're doing.
All right. Well, thank you. Are there any other questions for the applicant? No. All right. Are there any public comments on this project? Please use the hand raise button at this time or *9 if you're joining us by phone. Anything? Nope. All right, then we'll go ahead and move into deliberation. So my understanding is it sounds like since there is an updated applicant packet that we did not receive, it sounds like maybe that's going to address any concerns that commissioners had. Is that an accurate statement? So if there isn't any further discussion, would someone like to make a motion to continue this? All continuances need to be to a date certain. So the next meeting would be, I'm trying to pull up my Outlook calendar.
It's November 2nd, Kelly.
Thank you, Brittany. Okay, so that'd be our motion, is to continue this project till November 2nd.
Madam Chair, I move.
Erica, did you have a question or a comment first? No? Okay. Go ahead, Gary, sorry.
Okay. Madam Chair, I move to continue application number 2021-COA-455 for the attached garage and alterations at 2151 East Hawthorn to November 2nd, 2021.
Great, thanks, Gary. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Erica. All right, I will call for the vote. George.
Aye.
Brad.
Aye.
Aaron.
Aye.
Julie.
Aye.
Gary.
Aye.
Erica.
Aye.
Anne.
Aye.
Kelly. Aye. All right, so we have a unanimous vote and the motion passes. So this will be continued to our next landmark meeting. Okay, the next project today is 2021-COA-456, and this is at 300 Marion Street.
So our next project is also in the Country Club Historic District. This is a contributing structure as well. It was constructed in 1908, and the period of significance is 1902 to 1945. This property is located on a corner, which you can see here in this aerial image, where the primary facade fronts onto Marion Street and the secondary street elevation is on East 3rd Avenue. Currently along East 3rd Avenue, there's a large one-story non-historic addition, which you can see in this corner photograph here of the property. That addition is proposed to be demolished and replaced with a much smaller one-story side addition. So here is the front of the property. There is no change proposed to the front elevation of the structure. And then on the rear, that one-story side addition will be demolished, as well as this two-story addition that you can see in this photograph here. This addition is original to the home. However, staff feel that it has been significantly altered and no longer retains its historic significance. So we do not have concerns over the demolition of that rear two-story addition. It will be replaced with a new two-story addition with a slightly larger footprint. So here is the existing and proposed site plan. So the applicant is also proposing to demolish the existing garage. This is a garage that is original to the home. However, garages are not considered contributing in the Country Club Historic District per the ordinance. And additionally, the commission did approve this garage for demolition in 2011. However, it was never actually demolished at that time. Our ordinance at that time, demolition approvals didn't expire, so that's still an active approval on that garage to be demolished, but we do require a replacement plan before any demolition can occur in our historic districts. So the proposed replacement plan will be a new garage structure in a similar location to the existing garage structure, a new connector addition that you can see in this plan here, and then a smaller one-story side addition to the home once that larger one-story non-historic addition has been demolished. The applicant is also going to construct a new rear patio off of the home, which you can see in this site plan as well. So here's the proposed demolition. Again, most of these elements are non-historic, so it is not triggering the demolition requirements for public notice. And here you can see that original garage that will also be demolished as part of this project scope. In addition to the demolition of the additions to the home and garage, the mechanical that is currently located along East 3rd Avenue will be relocated onto the north side of the home, where it will have less visibility from the public right of way. So here is the proposed roof plan of the new connector addition, new two-story addition. So again, it will be a new two-story addition at the rear of the home with a low one-story flat roof connector addition that ties into a new garage with a cross gable and hipped roof form, which you can see in this plan. And then the new one-story side addition will have a hipped roof as well. Again, a new patio with a site wall that will provide screening for that patio at the rear of the home, and there will also be a new fire pit constructed there as well. So this is the East 3rd Avenue proposed elevation. You can see that much smaller one-story addition. With the demolition of the existing one-story addition, a historic window opening will be re-exposed to the exterior, and the applicant is proposing to install new windows into that existing opening. Staff do have some concerns over the proposed windows. They are all aluminum clad wood windows, but they will have divided lights. The existing home doesn't appear to have any divided light windows that are original to the structure, although they have all been replaced at various times. So staff is recommending simplification of the divided light windows as they don't relate to the existing windows, even though they're not historic, and also are a little more complex than the existing windows. The new addition, again, at the rear will be 2 stories, and that will be clad in brick. And then the transition addition between the 2-story addition and new garage will be 1 stories, and that will actually be clad in a shingle material to create a transition between those 2. And then the garage along 3rd Avenue and along the alley will be clad in brick, which you can see here. The roofing material is an asphalt shingle to match the existing, and the flat roof portion will have just a simple membrane roofing material. There is a low retaining wall proposed at the garage that will be constructed of concrete, but it's very, very low in height. It's right by that man door that you see on this elevation. And the site wall for the patio, that will be brick with some relief paneling in it to break up that massing. There will also be a chimney constructed as part of the addition that is located at the rear, which you can see here in this elevation. So that will be a new chimney that is constructed as part of this new garage rear addition portion. So again, along the alley, the garage will be clad in brick, but the garage also has a flat roof portion of it, and that flat roof portion will be clad in that same shingle that the 1-story connector addition is clad in. Again, you can see those divided light windows that the applicant is proposed. There are window sills for these windows, and it's noted as concrete and brick in the plan set. So we do need some clarity on what that windowsill material is. The existing structure has stone sills, so either material could be appropriate as it would be differentiated from the existing stone sills, but still compatible with the rhythms that you see on the historic structure. However, it just needs to be clarified in the plan set. And then this is the north elevation. The garage along the north elevation, again, will just be clad in that shingle material with a new cornice to match the existing. Again, the mechanical will be relocated to this north elevation, which you can see here. It is proposed to be screened, but that screening material is not clearly noted in the plan set. So any fencing needs to be clearly noted in terms of material and height. So we are also requesting information on any fencing and screening material that is used on this property. This is just the front elevation of the home along Marion Street, showing the existing garage and 1-story addition that will be demolished, and the new addition and garage addition. Staff do not feel that this is significantly changing the historic appearance of the home, although you will see portions of the new garage sticking out a little bit on the north. It is difficult to tell, but along the north side of the home, there is an existing stair set that allows access to that existing driveway. So you do see that in the plans here, but again, that is existing condition. This is again why we're asking for details on the fencing, because you can see a fence noted in the elevations here, and it's not entirely clear where that fencing is placed per the site plan. So here's just the proposed additions. Staff are recommending approval of this project with a few conditions. That the shingle reveal match the existing shingle reveal portions, because that's not clearly noted in the plan set. Typically, we allow 6 to 8 inches for a shingle reveal. Eliminate the divided light windows and doors from the project proposal, as we don't feel that they are compatible with the existing windows and doors. Provide a wall section through the wood shingle to confirm the windows are inset into the wall plane. So the applicant did provide a wall section through the brick, but we need it through all the materials, as we typically require a 2-inch inset for all new windows. confirm the windowsill material is either concrete or brick, clearly show all fencing locations, materials, and height and plan. And then also, I don't have a slide image of this, but in the packet, it appears that the existing historic structure has a metal soffit material. And I believe the applicant is proposing to replace that metal soffit material in the historic structure with a new wood tongue and groove soffit material. So we are recommending approval of this project with a few conditions.
Thanks, Brittany. Are there any questions for staff? No. All right. Is the applicant present? Could we get them promoted? All right, go ahead and unmute yourself when you're ready and start with your name and address for the record. You have up to 10 minutes.
This is John Mattingly, 517 East Bayard Avenue, Denver, 80209. Thanks, Brittany, for the thorough review. Very much appreciated. Just quickly to address some of her conditions, that shingle reveal, I believe, is a 6-inch on there. And we tried to model that as close as we could, and it's a straight coursing, not a staggered. So we'll get that detail clarified. I would like to note that when we do this submittal that clarifies these things, I'd like to propose that we shorten the chimney on the addition. It's I've made that edit before and it didn't get past me. It didn't make it through the staff. So as I'm looking at this, I'm like, that thing's a little tall. Probably hack a good 6 feet off of it. So thanks for not tearing me up on that, Brittany. We'll get to it. So this was an interesting project because of it was a tough one to consider how we would help it. And so keeping the addition small in scale and getting the space that we needed was the real challenge that we got through first. The garage itself, as you can see, is a 3-bay garage. We wanted it to read as more of a 2-bay from the corner. Although you can't see it very much, there's a lot nice grown spruce trees in the corner that we wanted to keep. And so that was the strategy with the garage and breaking it down with the different materials. The windows were tricky because many of them are not original. And I took my lead off of the dormer windows that are on the front of the house. The existing 3rd floor dormer windows do have a pretty intense divided light pattern in them. If you look at one of the existing photos. And then the French doors in the living room, which is the room the front room on the right. If you walk in the front door to the right, that room where we're going to be restoring another window, those French doors on that south elevation have divided light, and they're original wood doors. And so I think there might have been an upper sash divided light, which you see typical to homes of this nature. And so that's why we ended up leading with the whole divided light plan, which I really would. It'd be my one thing I'd like to try and emphasize that we keep. And maybe the compromise is that we reduce the divided light to the upper sash only. Because as I sit here and review this, most of these Georgian revival, colonial revival houses you would see would typically have a pretty extensive divided light in that upper sash, but usually not the bottom. And so perhaps the compromise is that we reduce the divided light to the upper sash only and keep the divided light in the French doors as they are in the existing doors today. Would be something I would like to recommend that we consider. The sills on this building are concrete. It's a butter joint brick masonry on the exterior. And so we meant to label that as a concrete sill as well. I would also be open to doing the snap cut stone if there was a need for differentiation, but either the precast concrete or snap cut stone would satisfy my interest. The snap cut would be more different than you see on the existing building. And I think the concrete would be a perfect blend. And so we're interested in staff recommendation there either way. Yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up. The fence, the fence location we'll clarify on that resubmittal. It's a tricky transition because the view from the front porch into the backyard is really nice, and we're trying to keep that open. So I'll have to consider that with our clients or remove the fence from the application until we get more clarity on that. So that's the nature of the beast and how we looked at the project. So hopefully you guys can consider my thoughts on the divided light. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for your time. Are there any questions for the applicant? Yeah, Brad.
Kelly, I have one question. Just to confirm, the primary soffit material is going to be replaced as well. So is the metal coming down and being replaced with wood?
Yes. Yeah, that, I don't know what happened there and how that metal got up there in between those existing brackets, but it's like, it's 6-inch exposure metal. So we'd like to replace it with a 2 1/4 inch tongue and groove.
And so your thought process there is that it's not original and you want to get something that's a little closer to what would have originally been there.
Metal soffits were not something that happened back then. And so at some point, I think the soffits were probably in bad shape, and maybe when the windows were replaced at one time, they went in and did that, but it's terrible. It looks terrible. So we'd love to replace it.
Thanks. Any other questions for the applicant? No. All right. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Are there any public comments for this project? Please use the hand raise button at this time, or if you're joining us by phone, *9. Nope. Okay. If there are no public comments, we'll move into deliberation. What did everybody think on this project? Brad, what do you think?
I actually liked how the addition really kind of nestles into the back. I think it's really pretty well done. I agree with staff's comments. The divided light, I think I would lean towards simplifying it and just doing an upper sash divided light just to keep things simple, since that's probably kind of the part of the conversation we'll have. But otherwise, I am in agreement with staff's recommendations, and I think it's a pretty well-crafted project.
Thanks. Anybody else have thoughts? Yeah, George.
I think it's an extremely well done project. It's visually very pleasing and doesn't seem to violate any of the major guidelines that we have. I also agree on the divided light issue. I wonder what that was, how that could be resolved, and that seems to be a really nice resolution to it. And my compliments to the staff report for the thoroughness. I really think that this project can go ahead with the conditions.
Yeah. See nodding heads from Anne, Julie. Any other comments? Yeah, Brittany.
I just have a quick question. If the commission is leaning to allowing divided lights, the windows on the alley elevation are fixed encasement windows, so they wouldn't have an upper and lower sash. So just kind of curious as to how we should address that, as if this is conditionally approved, I wouldn't be bringing it back to the commission for additional review.
Yeah, good point. So what was everybody's thoughts on the windows? So I heard Brad say that he'd be open to what the applicant was recommending as a common ground of having divided lights on the uppers, no divided lights on the lower sashes, but then we've got these casement windows to consider. Did anyone have strong thoughts about what would be appropriate? Erica, what do you think? Just calling on people now.
Yeah. I think I'm leaning towards staff's recommendation of no divided lights. I understand the applicant's kind of proposed middle ground, but in looking at some of the other windows, and it's just really difficult for me to tell what's original or what's not. I know what he's saying as far as the dormer windows go, and but other windows have, it's not a 1/1 even symmetrical window sash. It's a slightly smaller upper sash that may not even be operable. So it's just really hard for me to tell kind of what's original or what's not. And when it comes to that, it just seems to me that it's best to keep it simple. So that's my thought on that.
Okay. Anne, I see you nodding your head. You agree that no divided lights would be most appropriate. I was kind of torn on this. I would be fine with no divided lights because that's simple, and but I'm not sure that even if they are simulated divided lights, or, well, wait, were they proposed to be simulated, or, yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, just checking before I misspeak. I still think that the additions are differentiated enough that I don't think it's going to be mistaken as historic. So I don't know, I'm kind of on the fence. I don't really feel that having divided lights would make it incompatible, in my opinion. Are other people on the fence, or do we have some strong opinions? Can someone sway me? Gary, what are your thoughts? You always have an opinion on this. On windows.
Well, I was looking at it. I mean, if there weren't any casement windows, if they were all double hung, I would agree with Brad's suggestion that the upper sash could have a divided light and the lower sash would be just a single pane. So I'm still wondering how I feel about the use of divided lights in the casement windows, because if there's any divided lights at all, I think the casement windows should have divided lights just for some sort of overall consistency. And I'm just kind of considering whether how strongly I feel about that. So let's just, as a trial balloon, what if we would recommend that in double hung windows, the upper sash gets divided lights, the lower sash does not, and that any new casement windows can have divided lights? How does that sort of fit with the consensus?
Brad, how do you feel about that, since you had expressed that you thought the upper sashes would be fine as divided? What do you feel about the casement?
I think that actually could make some sense, and it kind of delineates between a casement and then the single hung window. So I would be willing to support that.
Okay. Julie?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I'd support that as well. I think that makes sense to me.
Okay. Erica, you had mentioned simplification. Would you be opposed to?
I don't feel strongly enough about it. I would support if that's where most people are heading, that would be fine.
Okay. See a nod from Anne, George, and Aaron. Do you feel that's appropriate?
I do. I don't have a strong feeling on the windows themselves.
All right. Okay, I would be in support of that. I do think it may be worth mentioning, just for anyone who's on the call, that this isn't just an opinion of what do we like, what do we not. It's because the applicant made a very good point that in this style of home, it would not be uncommon to have double hung windows where the upper sash had divided lights and the lowers were open. And in homes like that, it's not uncommon to see the windows of differing operations like a casement to have divided lights as well. So I think I just want to make that comment that this discussion is based on the guidelines of what would be compatible and consistent with the original structure. Okay. So looking back at kind of the suggested motion, I think it sounds like the commission is leaning towards the staff recommended motion, except with modifying condition number 2 about the divided lights. Are there any other conditions we needed to discuss? Okay. Gary, you want to go ahead?
I'm willing to make a motion if there's no further comments.
Sounds like you're good to go.
Okay, Madam Chair, I move to approve with conditions application number 2021-COA-456 for the new additions and site work at 300 Marion Street as per Country Club Design Guidelines B2, B4, B7, C4, E1, E2, F3, and Denver Landmark Design Guidelines 3.1, 3.2, 3.6, 3.7, 3.8, 3.9, 5.1, 5.9, 5.23, character defining features for the Country Club Historic District, presented testimony, submitted documentation and information provided in the staff report with the following conditions. 1, match the shingle review to existing shingle review proportions. 2, eliminate divided lights from the lower sash in the double hung windows. 3, provide a wall section through the wood shingle wall to confirm window inset into the wall plane. 4, confirm windowsill material as concrete. 5, clearly show all fencing location, materials, and height in plan. And 6, confirm in plan if the primary structure soffit material will be replaced.
Thank you, Gary. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, George. All right. If there's no further discussion on the motion, I'll call for the vote. George,
Aye.
Brad,
Aye.
Aaron,
Aye.
Julie,
Aye.
Gary,
Aye.
Erica,
Aye.
Anne,
Aye.
Kelly, aye. All right, so we've got a unanimous vote and the motion passes. So the project is conditionally approved. You can work with staff to iron out those conditions. All right, so that's the end of our design review projects on today's agenda. We do have one business item on the agenda, and that is the Certified Local Government Annual Report. So Kara, do you want to talk to us about that?
Yes, thank you. So the Certified Local Government Annual Report is required by History Colorado and the National Park Service. Let me see if I can wait for the slides. Thank you. So it's an annual report required by History Colorado and the National Park Service. It covers fiscal year 2021, which is October 1st, 2020 through September 30th, 2021. In order for us to maintain our status as a certified local government, we need to produce an annual report. And as a certified local government, we are eligible for grants, as well as eligible to continue tax credit reviews. And tax credit review fees go into the Landmark Preservation Fund, and that is primarily how Discover Denver is funded, is through that. So it's important that we continue to do this and continue to do our annual report so that we stay in good standings with the state and the National Park Service. Next slide, please. Jesse, could you forward to the next slide?
You should have control.
Oh, there I do. Thank you. Okay, so we just wanted to go over a few of the highlights of the Certified Local Government Report. One is the designations that were done in 2021. So we had the La Alma Lincoln Park Historic Cultural District with the customized design guidelines that was approved. 910 Galapago Street, which is Smith's Chapel, or also known as the Denver Inner City Parish. 1272 Columbine Street, and 6400 Montview Boulevard. Those were all approved in the fiscal year. And then if you all have felt very busy, it's because the design review has been very high. So there were a total number of projects that were submitted for review were 1,936 different projects. Staff reviewed about 1,600 of those, which also includes a couple hundred quick reviews, which are things like replacement in kind for roofing, replacement in kind for HVAC, simple mechanical, things that aren't readily visible. And then the Landmark Preservation Commission and the Lower Downtown Design Review Commission, the projects that were submitted for their review is about 270 projects. One of the things that a CLG report does not ask for, but which is a large part of our workload, are all the demolition reviews that we do. So I find that to be kind of an interesting thing that is such a huge part of our work program, but is not included in the review for the CLG or the requirements for the CLG. It is something that is reviewed by most cities of our size. So it's not an unusual thing for us to do. So I'm actually fairly surprised that it's not something required in the review process or in the for the annual report. Sorry. Okay, sorry about that. I apologize. I'm having trouble with this. We'll just have to go from here. So some of the challenges that we experienced were a really high number of sign review projects, a high number of demo review projects, going through COVID-19, as well as a pretty ambitious workload on some of our projects that weren't design review related. And forget that. And so some of our challenges and goals for next year are to work on our the design guidelines for phase 1, to finalize the Latino Chicano project, historic context. There's been really extensive outreach and really good participation with the community. So it's one of the things that we think is a great accomplishment. We also had the accomplishments of the continuing the Instagram account, and there were a high number of sessions that Landmark Preservation staff worked through. I presented at, I'm sorry, without my slides, I'm a little behind. And then also we have a new senior city landmark position. It was just filled here and started this week. So it was something that we were working on in the last fiscal year, but will technically go forward as an accomplishment for next year. Becca Deershaw has been promoted to a senior city planner in the landmark position, and we will be backfilling the associate city planner position that she has just left. So we are excited about that. So we would like you guys, staff would recommend that you would approve the CLG annual report.
All right. Yeah, Gary.
I have a question. I looked at all the, the report and the supplemental material. How does the continuing education materials that we submitted, is that just kept in your records, or is that actually part of the submittal to the CLG, or how is that handled?
So it is noted, and basically a lot of this is for, so it's noted in some of the supplemental information of the sessions that you guys attend. It's not something that really applies to Denver because this board has the majority of the members meet the Secretary of the Interior standards. But for some smaller communities where the majority of members do not meet the Secretary of the Interior standards, the state requests that they attend different trainings that are approved by SHPO. So we always put in the stuff that you guys send to us, and we note what has been, what you guys have attended, but it's really more intended for commissions that don't have members who meet the SOI standards.
Any other questions or comments?
I just want to say, I don't say it enough, but thank you to staff for all the work that you do. And it's always just kind of mind-boggling to see how much work you're doing behind the scenes, not really behind the scenes, but stuff that we don't see as the commission. So thank you very much to all of you for the hard work that you do.
Yes, I cannot believe, oh my God, 1,900 projects. And we all know that that doesn't mean it was just one application per project, that you guys are working with people over and over again. And it's pretty incredible. So kudos.
Well, thank you. I don't do the design review. That's all of my fellow colleagues, but I'll accept the thanks on their behalf for those who aren't here.
Yeah. And congrats to Becca. I don't think she's on the line anymore, but that's exciting. Well, great. If there aren't any other questions, I guess we can formally move into deliberation. Is there any other discussion we need to have, or does someone want to make a motion?
I can make a motion if everybody's ready for it. Sound good?
Go for it.
I move to approve the 2021 Certified Local Government Annual Report per presented testimony, submitted documentation, and information provided in the staff report.
Thanks, Brad.
I'll second.
Thanks, Aaron. All right. And I'll call for the vote. George.
Aye.
Brad.
Aye.
Aaron.
Aye.
Julie.
Aye.
Gary.
Aye.
Erica.
Aye.
Anne.
Aye.
Kelly. Aye. All right. It's a unanimous vote, so the motion passes. Great. And, you know, I guess I'm seeing up on the screen that there were public comments for business items. I did not formally ask for public comments. Is that something we need to back up and do? Is the public still on the line?
There is one person on the line, but I will leave that for an Adam question.
Yeah, Adam, I think sometimes we ask for public comment on business items. We typically don't have public comments on items that are so, like the CLG report, something that's kind of almost internal.
Not really a legal question, really decision up to the commission, whether they want public comment on this item or not.
Gotcha. Well, if it's at the discretion of the chair, then I think we'll just go ahead and move on without public comment. In years past, I don't think we've provided or had public comment on CLG annual reports. It's more data than opinion. So, okay, great. Well, anything else that needed to be discussed that wasn't on our agenda today? No. All right. Well, thank you everyone for your time. And I will go ahead and close the meeting. Almost forgot to do that.
13.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Can you say the time, Kelly, for the
Oh,
record?
yes, it's 2:13. And I will close the meeting. Thanks.